I've been effed too many times. You got to be careful. YouTube has a thing about the first 10 minutes, Brad. Be careful.
That's true.
About that. I am totally going to F that up 100% because I have a propensity for just throwing them out there. Okay, so I'm going to do the intro now, Brad. So I'm sorry. I'm going to occupy the whole entirety of the screen. Get the fuck... Get over it.
You do you, bud.
Okay. Hi, I'm Trevor, and welcome to Catching Up on Cinema. If you aren't familiar with the program, Catching Up on Cinema is a film analysis podcast wherein we introduce each other to films, expand our cinematic horizons, and, in essence, catch up on our cinema. So it is the month of March 2023, and is once again that very special time of the month wherein we do our very special Tales from the Shelf episode. And in joining me in this endeavor, I have my good buddy Brad from the Cinema Speak podcast. How's it going, Brad?
It's going great. Glad to be here talking about Blu-rays. I think I could be wrong, but I feel like last time I was on, I said my Blu-ray buying had slowed down, and that didn't last long. It has ramped up heavily. It might be worse than ever. So I've got lots of stuff to talk about, in my collection. So I'm ready to justify these purchases.
Yeah, dear listeners, if you're not familiar, or viewers, if you're not familiar with the format, a Tales from the Shelf episode is essentially an excuse for Brad and I to explore our film collections. The two of us happen to own quite a lot of DVDs, Blu-rays, and 4K discs, and this is our opportunity to kind of share our adventures in collecting. So each month we tackle things in the form of a theme. So this month the theme is Fantastic Fours. That is the number 4. In celebration, I guess, we're trying to do some marketing / promotional synergy here in celebration of the release of course, John Wick Chapter 4, which is currently doing quite well at the box office. So kind of a big deal. So basically the idea here is today we're going to be talking about films that are the 4th chapter of, or are the number 4 entry in a franchise of some sort. So there may be some cheating going on. There may be some slippage in terms of like how we attack this.
There will be some cheating, that's for sure.
Yeah, but it's all fair game. This is Calvin Ball, the podcast, so just deal with it. Sorry if you're a stickler for the non-existent rules, dear listeners and or viewers. But yeah, we're going to be talking about a lot of 4th movies in film franchises. And as is customary, I will promptly throw Brad directly under the bus and ask that, Brad, would you care to share your first pick? What is your first 4 movie that you'd like to talk about today?
Well, my first 4 movie is, I would say, a good pick. It is a cinematic classic directed by Joseph Zito, filmmaker we all know and love. It is Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter. Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter, which I have pulled out of my Friday the 13th box set that I have back here. And I would actually say, if we're talking Fantastic Fours, this is actually, from what I remember, my favorite Friday the 13th flick. I really like having Corey Feldman and Crispin Glover in here. Just the fact of having some, I don't know where they were totally with their careers at the time, but now looking back, having some star power in here certainly helps break up the monotony of this franchise when you're watching them all back to back, like I chose to 3 Halloweens ago. Love Crispin Glover's dancing in this. I think that is probably the sole reason this is my favorite Friday the 13th film. But I think the idea of you got Tommy Jarvis in here. It's the first Tommy Jarvis appearance. Beloved character. Absolutely beloved. So a huge first introduction to Tommy. And I like the idea of, one perspective, like one group being the group of a child. And I don't know if it's his sister or babysitter or whatever, but also going along with the group of teenagers. And it's just it's a solid entry, some good kills. I believe Tom Savini came back for this one after having done the first one. I don't think he did 2 or 3, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and also marketing it and having it at the time be the final chapter is also helps a lot. Like it does stand out and feel like at the time it feels like an ending. It's not. It doesn't feel like just like a trash middle chapter that some of the other ones later on would feel like. So yeah, I really enjoy this one, and they should have just they should have stuck to their guns. They should have called it here, final chapter, done. Could have been the greatest horror foursome of all time. But unfortunately, goes downhill from here. But I do like this film, and I'm happy to finally have the Scream Factory set after owning the garbage Paramount 8 movie collection.
Yeah, I may actually agree with you in terms of your favorite of the franchise being the fourth one, being the final chapter. And it's funny because it's not like it's super outstanding in any real way. It just kind of plays it straight down the middle and does it's very well rounded. Like it has somewhat memorable characters. Like they're all victims. It's a stereotypical or prototypical slasher movie, but like you said, it has Crispin Glover and it has just these little asides with the characters, and then it does have that nice setup. I do like that setup of like the normal, ordinary, like wholesome family next door to the Spring Breakers. Like it's a nice setup where you have two different parties going at the same time, and you really easily identify who you're supposed to be rooting for. Largely because I think there's a little kid and a dog involved, so it's like I wonder who the good guys are here.
Yeah.
I wonder who might make it to the end of this one. But it's a very charismatic and streamlined movie. Like you said, Tom Savini did come back for that, and part of the fun in that is that apparently he was kind of bearish about actually doing that until they told him he would have permission to kill Jason. And he was like, "Oh, well, I mean, I literally created him in the form of doing the makeup appliances for the character in the first film. Here's my chance to kill him."
Mm-hmm.
So he was honored to be given the opportunity, and he relished it. And spoiler alert: the kill shot in that movie is fantastic for its time, especially. I love the sliding down the machete bit. Like
Yeah.
that's just going the extra mile, and it was worth it. Like it makes it so much more memorable. Um, Really solid entry. I will point out that Crispin Glover's dancing to a song by the band Lion. It's "Love Is a Lie," and largely the only reason I'm able to tell you that is because Lion also did the Transformers the movie theme song.
Oh, okay. I
So
didn't know that.
of course I'm a fan of their very 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 limited discography.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, his dancing is absolutely legendary. It lives on in GIF form, and then some. Uh,
I would
go
say
ahead, Brad.
it's the greatest moment of the entire franchise, if you're asking me. Like, if we're ranking top 10 moments of the franchise, that would be number one.
I mean, it might be up there. It's also neck and neck almost with, "Hey Ted, where's the corkscrew? Where's the corkscrew?"
That's a good number two. That's a good number two.
Yeah,
But
apparently he and that actor, like off hours, the two of them really hit it off. Like they did some of that acting stuff where they actually just kind of like riffed and developed actual rapport with each other because they felt it would aid in their very limited screen time or something. But on the whole, final chapter is like a very good number 4, like all things considered, but also it in some ways it might be the best in that series. I
mhm.
kind of think of it's the one I've watched the most, if I'm being honest. And I think it's maybe the most well-rounded. um
Yeah.
there are other good entries in the series. I know 6 is beloved by a lot because of how campy and how just like overblown it is. Same goes for Jason X, but in a very 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 different way. But 5, I want to say a lot of people, like you said, it was starting to trend downward, because that one not a lot of people are big fans of, probably because of story elements that didn't exactly make anyone happy.
See, I actually kind of like the ending of 5, I have to say. I think that's the only good thing about it.
Yeah, the ending, I didn't see the stuff about it that probably bothers like Jason fans in that movie doesn't bother me at all because I don't have any real particular attachment to the very limited character of Jason Voorhees, and that movie does have a very high body count too,
Yeah.
which for me, that's fine. Like, so to me, I find five pretty watchable, um, but I know it's kind of a divisive entry in the series.
I mean, also another reason this movie is an absolute stone cold classic is anybody who has seen Scream 6. And no spoilers for Scream 6 here, but there is the return of fan favorite character Kirby in Scream 6. Obviously, Kirby, beloved character from Scream 4, finally makes her reappearance in Scream 6. And she does state that this is her favorite Friday the 13th film. So, fan favorite Kirby with saying fan favorite Tommy is her favorite. The fans just lose their minds. I mean, how can you not? Now, the character she's talking to in Scream 6 says that Friday the 13th 2 is her favorite, which is surprising. I didn't think that was many people's favorites, but
No, I've never really heard anyone say that either. It does
yeah.
have a couple of good kills, and of course it introduces Jason as a killer, like he was in the first one, obviously. But yeah, I don't think I've ever heard anyone call that one out as being their favorite.
Well, you got to check out Scream 6, now playing in theaters.
Uh, I'll get to it when I get to it. I think
Yeah.
I forget how long it took Kyle and I to get to that one on catching up on cinema, but that was like the reason I got around to that one. I actually quite liked the first Scream, but as a franchise, I haven't been as attached to it as I expected I would, I guess. But that
Mhm.
first one I absolutely adore. Like
Oh yeah.
I've seen it so many times.
Yeah. That one's up there as one of my most watched movies as well.
I keep having minor spoilers fed to me via social media about Scream 6, and a lot of it has to do with the number of times people are stabbed and how it
Yes.
gets to be almost a running gag at a certain point. I'll just leave it at that.
Yes, you are those spoilers or whatever you call them, they are correct. Yes.
Yeah, just there's a lot of stabbings in that movie,
Mhm.
and it goes directions you maybe wouldn't expect, I guess. um, okay, well that was a fantastic way to kick things off, Brad. So where do we
Try to
go
follow
from
that up, bud. Try and top that one.
fuck? um, yeah, we're past 10 minutes. I can do that all at one. Okay, so I'm gonna start cheating. I'm gonna come out the gate swinging, Brad.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Just
I'm gonna
no
cheat.
care for anything.
Uh, no. Yeah, I'll keep it under wraps for a second here, but
Oh, really? Okay. So no cheating now.
no cheating.
Okay.
So you had what what you and many people, I guess myself included, would call the arguably the best entry in a franchise, being the fourth entry, but inexplicably the best entry. I have here what is almost universally regarded as the worst entry in a four-film franchise. So this one is much shorter than Friday the 13th as a franchise, but it is number four. And I have here a Universal uh, box set box set of Jaws.
Oh, yes,
This is
yes,
the three
yes.
movie collection, which includes Jaws 2, 3, and Jaws, not 4, but Jaws the Revenge. Now, Jaws 4, the Revenge, is pretty universally regarded as the worst of the Jaws franchise, which is basically a franchise that never should have existed, if we're being honest. I mean, the first film is like, top 20, top 50 movies of all time kind of material. Um, but none of these sequels hold any sort of a candle to it. Like the second one, funny enough, it's fitting that you bring up Friday the 13th, because Jaws 2 very much feels like a response to the growing slasher subgenre. Like the structure of it very much feels like a slasher movie on the water, where it's a bunch of teens that are the center of the action. And they're being picked off, although the body count in this movie is laughable. That's like one of my biggest gripes with Jaws 2 is like the kills that are there are pretty good. I mean, when that chick gets eaten by that, like when that chick gets swallowed in front of that kid, that's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
like that's something you don't see in movies all the time. Is like it's a teenage girl gets swallowed by a shark in front of a child, like 2 feet away. Like that's pretty intense when you think about it. But what you actually see is very little. But the body count in Jaws 2 is very, very little. And Roy Scheider is great, but he seems kind of tired. Like he just doesn't seem like he wants to be there. And there's a couple other familiar faces from the first one that show up that is cozy, but on the whole, it's just a unwarranted sequel. And the third one is just bizarre. Like it's a 3D movie. In fact, that was the title. It was Jaws 3D. And I think Dennis Quaid and Louis Gossett Jr. in that, as well as the Australian fellow who plays the Manimal, the TV show from back in the day where he turns into like an animal guy or something. Anyway, he's like the great white hunter in the movie, and he also gets one of the best showcase deaths in the whole franchise because they were playing with the 3D gimmick, and he doesn't actually get eaten by the shark. He gets lodged in its gullet, like in its throat, and they put the camera inside the shark's mouth
Nice.
and like show him like pulsing in and out of its throat essentially. So like based on the sound design, I think it's implied that its throat muscles or cartilage structure like crushes him. But then he spends the rest of the movie like lodged in its mouth. It's truly bizarre, but um the 3D effects and Dennis Quaid screaming are really all the third one's memorable for. But Jaws: The Revenge, uh, this is some next level shit because this involves like the revenge actually refers to the shark.
Hmm.
It's actually referring to some. I don't know if it's like a spectral shark or some sort of relative of the original shark from Jaws is haunting the Brody family, and somehow it manages to use psychic powers or something to lure them all into the water so it can get at them. I will say that the opening kill is actually pretty brutal. Um, and also, one thing that I can praise it for is the remix of John Williams' score. Whoever did the arrangement of it actually did a damn good job. The opening title theme, Brad, you should look it up. The opening title of Jaws: The Revenge is actually really good. Like
Yeah.
it's a very nice riff, and it actually adds like some different character that you probably haven't heard before. So that's one compliment I can give it. Other than that, it's a shit ass movie. It's dull as dishwater. It doesn't make a lick of sense. And I had a funny experience with this one where uh, it has two endings. And because of this Blu-ray, actually, I've now been able to see both of them. Because the original time I watched this movie, um, Mario Van Peebles is in the movie, and I believe he gets attacked by the shark, and you see it like drag him under. The version of the movie I saw, he comes back, like he gets better, like he's just
Really?
floating in the water, and they find him. And I'm
Okay.
pretty sure there's a different version of the movie where that doesn't happen. He's dead.
Yeah.
Um, and also, the version of the movie I saw has a completely incomprehensible ending, wherein they stick the shark with some electrode thing and then use a flashlight to shock its innards, and then it explodes. I don't know why. I don't know why it happens. It just does. And then they use stock footage from the ending of the first movie because apparently they couldn't afford to make another shark corpse. But apparently the other, I guess, true ending of the movie, like the intended ending of the movie, and you can kind of see it implied by the VHS box cover art for the movie. I think it's I think it's a woman like brandishing a harpoon against a shark.
Hmm.
Um, that's the VHS cover, not this one. the actual ending of the movie, the intended ending, as far as I know, is they impale the shark with the bow of their boat, and then like it in collapsing into the ocean, it like capsizes the boat or something. The effects for it look terrible though, so I'm guessing they said get that out of here. So terrible fucking movie. Last thing I'll say is there is a fun trivia factoid, in that Michael Caine is in this movie. He is just slumming it in the Bahamas. Like he's having a grand old time, just getting good and sloshed on like off hours. But apparently he got called away to do reshoots for that piece of shit movie, and was unable to attend the Oscars, where he was actually being awarded with something.
Oh, I don't
and
know
it
if I
was
knew that.
and it was because he was off filming stuff for Jaws: The Revenge. That sucks.
Well, I mean, hey, that's his fault. Sorry.
Yeah, he jokes about it now. Apparently, he refers to it as it was a paycheck, and
Yeah.
he's not going to pretend it was anything other than that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a classic pick. Um, I didn't know until just looking at. Do you know who directed this?
I didn't actually look that up. Who did?
It's Joseph Sargent, who I don't know by name, but directed the original Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3.
So the man
So
has talent.
quite the swing from one to the other. Quite the dip. Quite the peaks and valleys, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, in the words of your buddy Bobby, yikes.
Yeah, yikes. Yikes is right. Yeah, I've seen every Jaws movie, but I've only seen 3 and 4, I think one time each. Um, and it was when I was young. 3, I don't know. I didn't remember hating 3, but I was probably like 8 when I watched it. But 4, even as a kid, I was like, this is dumb. This is stupid. And I haven't watched it since. So that's that. A movie is bad when like a kid dislikes it, and it's actually like bad. Like it's one thing if like a kid watches, like 2001: A Space Odyssey, and they're like, "This is stupid." But then you get older and everybody says, "Oh, it's an amazing movie." Then you rewatch it. Oh, okay, it's a great movie. But when you're a kid and you watch Jaws: The Revenge, you're like, "This sucks," and then you grow up and it still sucks. So I can't even pull the wool over the eyes of a child. So that's that. At the very least, they should be able to do that. But yeah, I'm curious to revisit all the sequels actually, because last time I watched number 2 was there's a lake not even near me. It's near where my buddy Matt lives. It's an inland lake. It's probably like man-made. I don't even know. But they did a thing where one year they screened Jaws out on the wall. Well, I think the screen was on the shore, but everybody got on floats and sat in the water and watch the movie. And this, I've heard other places do this too. Like it's not like a unique thing to hear, but they did it somewhat locally to me. I didn't go to that year though. The year 2, the next year, instead of screening Jaws, they screened Jaws 2, and we went and saw Jaws 2 out in the water. Kind of stopped watching halfway through, to be totally honest. Got distracted. But I don't believe they went to Jaws 3 for year 3. I think they went back to the original Jaws after that. I think they just kept at Jaws every single year from there on.
Yeah, even Jaws 2 would be kind of a tough sell, if I'm being honest. Like
Yeah.
if you're actually trying to sell tickets to like an event or something, like you're not gonna get people to you're not gonna get people to come out of the woodwork for Jaws 2 or 3, or let alone 4.
Mm-hmm.
But that does sound cool. Like I bet that would be kind of eerie at certain parts of the movie, where you can't help but get that kind of feeling, like just looking down in the water and seeing just the murky blackness and being like, oh fuck, am I gonna
Yeah.
get in the ass?
Would have been better if it was the ocean instead of a man-made inland lake, but
No, I mean, I remember being a little kid and hanging out at a lake with my buddy and still having some anxiety about
It's true. It's true.
something. I mean, all it takes is you to brush up on some seaweed or something, and it puts the fear of God in you for a couple of seconds anyway. At least when you're a kid.
It's true. I was not a
Um,
kid. I was a grown adult. So, but
Grown ass man with
yeah.
too many beers and too good Wi-Fi reception apparently for that
Yeah.
Jaws 2 screening.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Good pick though, man.
No, but
Well,
thanks. Okay, so that was Jaws: The Revenge, aka Jaws 4. Brad, what is your next Fantastic Four pick?
I mean, like I've got some obvious ones here, but all the interesting ones are sort of horror. So I'm just gonna keep on that train, I guess. And this one I'll mention. It's a movie I watched quite a while ago. I mean, not that long ago, like 4 years maybe. But I don't remember anything from it. That's all I'm trying to say. But it is the fourth film in what a franchise this franchise is. The fourth film in the Wreck franchise. It is Wreck 4 Apocalypse. Wreck 4. Oh, here we go. Boats. It's on a boat, water, Jaws. There we go. Welcome on board. Wreck 4 Apocalypse. This movie is not great from what I remember, and I don't remember much, but I did look up my letterbox rating because I knew I'd be talking about this. I gave this the worst rating of the entire franchise, and I do remember it being pretty bad. Uh, just kind of dull, unmemorable. I mean, I love the first Wreck, and I actually like Wreck 2 also, but I mean, it's kind of a little bit of a lightning in a bottle situation. Like, just they use found footage very well. It's very quick, it's very fast, it's very gory, it's very scary, it's a lot of fun. But when you try to kind of expand this franchise outside of that initial apartment building and that unique concept, there's not really anything that interesting in here. I mean, the unique spin with Wreck is that it's a zombie franchise, but I believe the zombies are demonic in nature. But I mean, that's honestly almost less interesting to me. I mean, it's a kind of a cool reveal at the end of the first Wreck, but after that, I don't care much. I guess the only thing that is somewhat of interest regarding Wreck 4 is that the first two Wreck movies are directed by two guys. Their names are Yame Balaguero and Paco Plaza, and they also did Rec 2 together. The interesting thing, though, and I do kind of like when movies or franchises do something similar to this, is that Yame Balaguero and Paco Plaza, I don't know if they had a falling out. I don't know what happened, but they split up for Rec 3 and 4. And Paco Plaza did Rec 3, and Yame Balaguero did Rec 4. And I do believe they both came out the same year. Yeah. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. But they came out, somewhat close to each other. Just kind of an interesting, like, let's see who the true Rec visionary is. Let's just see who can make the better movie out of these two. And I would say Rec 3 and 4 are both not great. So they stick working together, guys. But and also I guess the only other thing of note is that Rec 3 did not have the main woman, the main news reporter girl from Rec 1 and 2. But they do bring her back for Rec 4. So everyone who loves that character, fan favorite, was very happy to have her back.
Okay. I actually I have never watched an entire Rec film front to back. I did get a decent way into the first one, and I was very happy with what I saw. I forget what it was that prevented me from finishing it, but
Too scary.
too scary, can't do it. Oh man, this is way scarier than Jaws 4. um, no, I forget exactly what it was. I think I just got busy and I just never found a reason to come back to it. I think I also did the exact same thing with the American version of it too, because they're Spanish films, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I remember having quite a lot of hype for Rec 2, because the trailer for that one, at least the international trailer, was really cool, particularly for me at that stage in my life. I want to say that like maybe the first Raid movie was roughly around the same time,
Yeah.
which means that Dread was also roughly around the same time. So there must have been something in the air or something. But the second one, if memory serves, it's like it isn't it like supposed to be an immediate follow up to the first one, and it's about
Hmm.
like a SWAT team entering the same building that the first one takes place in.
Yeah, it's like still the same night and everything. It works
I
pretty well.
I love that actually.
Yeah.
Like whether it be a slasher movie like a Halloween and a Halloween 2 or a Rocky movie where the end of the previous one is the beginning of the next one. I for some reason that's very appealing to me.
Hmm.
And just the I don't know, the brutality and the execution of like the cinematography and what was happening on the screen for the trailer for that second one really jumped out at me. I thought it looked really interesting, and for whatever reason, I never got around to it. And obviously, I never got around to any of them. Um, but Brad, you and I both have a particular itch that we love to scratch in the form of high seas terror. That there's a very large vessel, a ship, on the cover of that fourth movie. Does that one take place on the high seas or on like a moored ship of some sort?
Yeah, it's all on like a big freighter kind of thing. You don't get, from what I remember, you don't get too much water action though. It's a lot of indoors on a ship kind of thing. Um, but I think there is a little bit of that. And yeah, it's, I'm kind of a little bit surprised that we haven't had any other tried to dip in this franchise in almost 10 years. This was 2014. This last one came out. Because yeah, the first one has a pretty solid reputation.
Yeah,
Um, and I mean, it's enough that Scream Factory put out this box set here, which I picked up. Not bad,
yeah.
nice
Looks
hard
looks
box.
very
Yeah.
handsome.
I guess actually leave the franchise dead because now like this. If they release another one, then this box is incomplete. So leave it dead.
Hate when that happens, man.
Yeah.
It's the ugliest thing to put on a shelf is a big awesome box like that with like just one case next to it.
Yep.
Just just one extra thing that's just there. It's like god
Hmm.
damn it.
I mean, let me ask you this. This is getting really into the weeds here, but I
Oh,
mean, I don't think either of us have much to say about Rec 4 Apocalypse. So, the Rec, this collection, now, I do believe that this should technically be one of the very first movies that you organize like in a collection alphabetically because the full title of the movie and the collection is, I don't know what that symbol is, the square parenthesis. I don't know
yeah.
what that is, the
Yeah.
bracket or whatever.
Yeah, I would call it a bracket, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's a straight parenthesis.
it is punctuation in the official title. And technically, if you're, I mean, I'll admit I don't follow punctuation all that much in my collection. It's maybe a little embarrassing, but in reality, I should. Like for example, I don't know if maybe one of these movies might come up this episode. I don't know, but X-Men, it's not XM. It doesn't go under XM. Technically, it should go X dash. Like it. So if there was a movie called XA, some sci-fi movie called about an alien called XA, X-Men should go before XA because it's X dash. I mean, that's where you get into the weeds. I mean, it really depends what's going to help you sleep at night. I don't follow that. I should though. I really should.
No, have fun trying to sleep tonight, bud.
Yeah.
These, I mean, this is why we do this show, is because these are the particular problems that occupy our time as collectors of movies. Follow up question, probably a dumb one, but we this week on Catching Up on Cinema, we talked about Joe Dante's The Howling. Another very well known and beloved Joe Dante film is The Burbs with
That's
an
a classic
apostrophe.
example. Classic example.
So would you count the punctuation in that?
Now that one, That is tough. I mean, yeah, that one,
I'm gonna
honestly, I
break my
think
neck, Brad.
more than any other film, I think you should count the apostrophe in that one, but I don't think I do.
Okay.
I think if I were to look, it'd be under B right now. Should we
Okay.
take a bet? Should we bet?
No, I'm not a betting man. That's your thing.
I think it's under B. Yeah.
You have problems, Brad.
Yeah. It is under B. It is that, but that one really does feel like it should go. I don't know. That's tough. That is tough.
Folks at home, just so we're clear, I'm talking to a man who owns a miniature lottery wheel.
Yeah.
He has a problem. If you know him, tell him you love him and that he needs to seek help.
I love you got to put some money on the line to make it interesting, you know?
We all have to have at least one friend. Okay.
I mean, let's get into the, I mean, while we're here, let's just keep it going. Let's keep going. Dr. Strangelove.
Yeah.
What DR period. Where are we doing? What are we doing with this?
Oh, I mean, if you're going strictly by like the way it's alphabetized in the way the title's presented, if it is DR, not Doctor, DOCTOR. I don't know, man.
Well, let me tell you this.
Hmm.
I might need to do some reorganizing here because I have Dr. No and Dr. Strangelove. All right. DR period. Both of them. DR period.
Yeah.
Obviously, Dr. No is before Dr. Strangelove. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But I do have both Dr. No and Dr. Strangelove ahead of Dracula and Drive. So I am using the punctuation there to alphabetize. I am using it there.
Okay, so Brad is treating it as a DR period.
Yeah. So it's just tough because I don't, with the Burbs, I don't really like having that be the first movie in the collection. That just feels gross. I don't know.
Does. That really does. Like
when
you say it, you don't say the punctuation. It's a B sound. It's the Burbs.
I'm gonna keep the Burbs there, but I may need to. Actually, it doesn't matter. I was gonna say I may need to adjust my X-Men, but we're good. I don't have a movie called XA, so we're good.
No, I don't think you'll ever find one either. But maybe somebody listening to this will hop up there and gobble up the rights to some obscure film we've never heard of.
Could be.
Put it out there. Okay. Well.
Anyway.
I've wasted the past 5 minutes of my life. Time to try to get this. Time to right the ship. Okay, so I suppose the pick is to me. I have here. Okay. I'm gonna cheat because these are both number 4s, and they both happen to feature a common cast member. The same fella is in both of these movies. And also, I did mention at the top of this discussion, John Wick Chapter 4 is kind of the impetus for having this particular theme this month of Fantastic Fours. So I have here DVDs. So get your barf bag ready, Brad. And these are from 20th Century Fox by way of Fortune Star. Yikes. And Dimension Films, a label that you don't hear talked about anymore, really. I have here In the Line of Duty 4, starring a young-ish Donnie Yen. He was young. And Highlander Endgame, in a very odd case, starring Adrian Paul and Christopher Lambert. So this is the film that merges the Highlander TV show, which was the style at the time, with the Highlander movie franchise, which was the style of 10 years before this, or 15 years before this. But yeah, this is an unusual case. It's extra dense.
Yeah, that is odd.
And it's because it has 2 discs, but for some reason they put it in like the equivalent of like a VHS box. But anyway, these 2 movies are both number 4 entries in their respective franchises. In the Line of Duty 4 is, despite the title and despite it being a number 4, A very exceptional Hong Kong action flick. It stars Donnie Yen along with a couple of his buddies. It's Michael Woods and John Salviti, I want to say is his name. He's worked with them in a couple of different movies, and if memory serves, there was a portion of Donnie Yen's life that he was living in Boston, and that's where he befriended these guys who were both tremendous martial artists in their own right. They're both American. John Salviti has actually worked on a lot of choreography with Donnie Yen in more recent days, actually. But he was in at least two movies with Donnie Yen, as was Michael Woods, and they both have appearances in this. But this is directed and I think choreographed by Yuen Wu Ping, who is, he's Hong Kong action royalty. He's one of the foremost choreographers of action cinema, still working today, I think. Um, and he's also kind of credited with discovering Donnie Yen in some ways, um, at least in the film world. But yeah, this is a fine little movie. It's a lot of fun. It has that Hong Kong magic to it, where it never takes itself too seriously, but then it takes itself way too seriously sometimes. So it like veers wildly back and forth between like clownish humor, like lots and lots of sight gags and slapstick humor, coupled with high melodrama and intense violence. So it's a wild experience, very very whiplashy. But um, Highlander Endgame also features Donnie Yen. I say features because Donnie Yen's technically not really the star of In the Line of Duty 4, but he does occupy a lot of the screen time, and he is kind of the showcase character for most of the action. Highlander Endgame, I believe he's credited as choreographer, um, and this may have been his earliest work in Hollywood, in American cinema. And he has a very brief appearance in this movie. If memory serves, I think Edge from the WWE is also in this movie. I think that's true. It's been a really long time since I've watched this one. This movie's all right. Like, I feel kind of the same way about all the Highlander movies. Like, they're all kind of shit in their own right, but they're all kind of all right at the same time. Like the first one has the Queen soundtrack and like the Russell Mulcahy's very wild and outrageous cinematography, and Clancy Brown, who's also in John Wick 4 apparently, hamming it up as the Kurgan, as the villain. But Highlander Endgame is probably nobody's favorite Highlander movie except for people who were like diehard fans of the TV show, which I was not. But I did grow up in an era where I was very much aware that it existed, and most certainly did, cross its path a few times, like flipping channels back in the day. But yeah, just the novelty factor of seeing Donnie Yen kind of trying to break into international cinema during an age where quite a lot of Hong Kong talent was trying to do so. Like I'm not positive as to what the political climate was, but there was a thing in the early to mid 90s, because 1997 was, they call it the handover, was when Hong Kong was being given back to China. It was a 100-year lease from the British government. So ownership of the city was being given back to China. And I think there was like a lot of upheaval, or just a lot of instability, that it seemed like a shit ton of Hong Kong film talent was jumping ship and like not fleeing like political asylum or something, but just like migrating to the West, because that's when we started to see like John Woo do movies like Hard Target and Broken Arrow and Face Off and all that stuff, and then many other directors and actors in the form of Jackie Chan and and to a lesser extent Donnie Yen. A lot of them started to show up. So I'd actually like to do some research into that. But this was, I'm pretty sure, his first like proper American production, and it's not exactly the best exhibition of his skills, but as a novelty, it is kind of neat.
Yeah, I mean, what you said, it does make sense. Like the idea, like if your entire country is changing ownership, I mean, yeah, you might be looking for, well, let's go to Hollywood where there's more stability and more potential job security. And listen, I don't want to. I'm no expert in Hong Kong and Chinese politics, and I don't want to say anything politically controversial here. but I do think I will say that I do think babies should be allowed to vote starting at the age of 3. That's my only political statement that I will give. I think as soon as you're able to check a multiple choice box, just have at it. Let's go. But I will not comment on Hong Kong politics. That's the only thing political I'll say.
You heard it here, folks. If Brad ever runs for office, that's going to be his platform.
Babies can vote.
Yeah, babies can vote, and they should vote for me.
Yeah. But no, those are good picks, man. I'm not really familiar with either of them, but Highlander, I should at least see the first one.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
Just for cultural knowledge. Just it is a well-known like pop culture thing. Like especially like Sean Connery. Like he has quite a lot of quotables in there. Like I said, it's a Russell Mulcahy movie, so it's not going to be the best thing, but it's going to look nice. The man does know how to make some very pretty images. Plus, you get a lot of Queen music. Um, oh, hey, Kyle's in the chat. He's talking shit. Highlander. I think. I think. I think if memory serves, Kyle actually did try to watch Highlander, and I think he didn't even make it through the first scene. I don't think he even made it through the opening sequence in the. I think it's a wrestling event, and I don't exactly know what the turnoff was, but I've never been able to get that man to finish that movie.
I mean, it's definitely not something that is all that appealing to me either. But I mean, from I don't even know if I've seen any of his films, but I do like the vibe of Russell Mulcahy. I'm trying to think what I know he did Razorback. I can't think of what else he's done though.
Yeah, he did Razorback, and he did the Shadow, the not so great Alec Baldwin comic book hero movie from the '90s. It does look nice though, I'll give it that much, but
Okay.
it's not very good.
Yeah.
John Lone is fun in that, as is Tim Curry. He's having a lot of fun in there. And I think he did the third Resident Evil movie, which is, I mean, they're all of a certain level of quality, if I'm being honest, but I think that one wasn't terrible. It looked nice.
Okay.
That's the one with the birds that'll get set on fire. If you're
Oh,
into birds getting set on fire, that's your movie.
he also did the Scorpion King 2, apparently.
Oh shit, is Randy Couture in that one? Who's the
Yeah.
headline? Yeah, yeah.
I might have to check that out now.
Randy Couture, saint among actors, truly a god among men in the world of acting talent. I don't know
Yeah.
what it is about that guy, but like when he shows up in the Expendables movies, it's just like one of these things is not like the others. Like, come on, man! I get it. You're trying the aesthetic and the target audience of those movies is really really obvious. It's like
Mhm.
as evidenced by the Harley Davidsons, the Jack Daniels, the copious amounts of tattoos, poor relationships with the opposite sex, and frequent use of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. It's pretty obvious we're going for the affliction crowd
It's a
of the
chick
day.
flick is what you're saying, right? It's a chick
Oh,
flick.
absolutely. That's what I meant by opposite sex. But Randy Couture is obviously an ambassador to the UFC. But why did you pick him, man? Like he sucks. He's terrible. Like his ability to deliver lines on camera is nil. Like he's fine when he's doing wrestling, when he's throwing people and shit. And his cauliflower ear does some acting that's probably, acting circles around him. But come on, man. You could have found somebody better.
I
Shit.
don't I don't know if I've seen anything he's been in.
He does a lot of direct to video schlock. Um, he's an ex MMA fighter. He's an ex
Yeah.
UFC guy. He's not an actor, but these days a lot of those guys are finding gigs. I'll tell you that much. Like they all found each other, and they all found a particular studio that they're very 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 cozy with right now.
No, I have seen I've seen the episode of The King of Queens that he was on. I saw the King of Queen episodes with him.
Oh, was he funny as shit?
I don't know. I don't remember. I'm just joking.
I'm sure
But he
he.
was on the King of Queens.
I'm sure he wasn't. I bet you he was there because I'm pretty sure Kevin James is a fan of the UFC,
Yeah.
and there's probably some crossover between audiences or studios or something. Randy Couture, I'm sure, is a fine man. It's just when I look at the cast of the Expendables movies and all the people who get like an easy nod from me in terms of my appreciation for them. It's like, oh, I like him. I like him. I like him. I like what they do. I know what they're about. I know their filmography. And then you get to him. It's just like, who the fuck invited you? Why are you here?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
again, I just listed off all the reasons why he's there. It's just why him in particular. Why couldn't it have been like Nate Diaz or something? Or it's like, I mean, I'm sure you couldn't. I'm sure you wouldn't be able to wrangle him on the set and like actually get him to stick to a script. Um, but oh, Kyle is in the chat again. Are you going to disclose the contents of your flash sale purchases? Kyle is more than likely referring to a very recent 24-hour Criterion sale that happened like within the past week or so. Brad, are you in a position to share that, or are you saving that for a potential video?
Oh, probably won't be a potential video because I did already open the box, but too
No
personal. Can't
unboxings.
reveal. Too personal. I can't reveal. No, I will say I did get Inland Empire, David Lynch's Inland Empire, which just came out. I think it came out like the day of the sale actually. And I did get what else did I get? The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, the Terry Gilliam film. And I got True Stories, the David Byrne movie. Got to get ready for the Talking Heads Stop Making Sense concert film re-release. So I got the David Byrne film. I think there was one other I got too. Can't remember.
Wow, I did hear about the Stop Making Sense re-release. Is that strictly going to be like a digital presentation, or are they like reprinting discs for that?
I don't know. It's going theatrical. It'll be a theatrical release.
Cool.
I guess I don't know if they would have physical media rights, but I wouldn't be surprised. It's through A24.
Yeah, I might actually buy that. Like, I'm not a concert guy, like especially in the physical sense. Like, you couldn't pay me to get me to go to a fucking concert, but I really love that film. Like that presentation of that concert is tremendous. It's
Yeah.
Jonathan Demme,
Yeah. Yep.
and just those live renditions of a lot of those songs are my favorite. So a lot of times I find myself if I'm listening to Talking Heads, instead of like listening to the studio version, I'll actually just put on that documentary or that movie. Excuse me.
Yeah. I've never actually seen the movie either. And I like the Talking Heads a fair bit. So I mean, David Byrne,
It's
he is
great
just killing it
timing.
this year.
Yeah,
He's
it's
killing
great
it.
timing. Yeah, the everywhere, everything all at once.
Mm-hmm. And he
Um,
performed with Miley Cyrus on New Year's Eve. Very odd pairing. Very odd. I was losing it watching that on New Year's Eve. And my girlfriend had no idea what was happening. Like she is not a David Byrne fan, but I was
why is he
losing it.
moving like that?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like it's a thing he does. Just let
Yep.
him do it. The
Yeah.
music's good. Shut up.
So
Okay, well,
cool.
Kyle's gonna cool it in the chat. You don't have to, bud.
No, I
Like,
love
it's
it.
actually kind of fun. I'm just glad the features work. I
Yeah.
wasn't aware.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just did a couple of Donnie Yen picks for my Fantastic Fours. So Brad, what is your next Fantastic Four pick?
Well, let's go with. Let me try and switch it up a little bit. Get away from the horror because my last two were horror. This one, I would not be surprised if you have this on hand as well, and I probably will actually look to you to carry this conversation because I don't have a ton to say about this movie, but I do like it. And that is the fourth film in this franchise. It is Rambo. Rambo, the 2008 version, 2008, somewhere around there. Rambo classic character. I actually did really enjoy this film. I've only seen it the one time. I kind of did a Rambo marathon before the last movie came out, and this one really I quite liked it. I just really liked the brutality of it, and yeah, the final. I think it's in the final moments. The big chain gun or whatever he uses. I mean, that is I don't remember much else from this movie, but that is pretty memorable and pretty cool if you ask me. I really like that sequence. So yeah, this is a good one. Way better than Last Blood or whatever it was called.
Yeah, yeah. Rambo: Last Blood was kind of a waste. Like it really doesn't justify its existence in any meaningful way.
Mhm.
Um, that really is where it ought to have ended. In fact, it ends very well. Like the last shot of the movie actually is like, that's a fine ending. It's like, oh, John Rambo comes home. Spoiler alert. To Bowie, Arizona. Sylvester Stallone is from Bowie, Arizona. Not with that accent.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
man. But uh, yeah, I love that movie. It is one of the best in that whole series, honestly. Like the first one's just a totally different entity. Like that's an adventure film for the most part, and then of course it gets some bonus points for talking about the Vietnam War in a somewhat earnest fashion,
Mhm.
as wasn't exactly the style at the time, I guess. Um, and you know, a lot of people laugh at Stallone's speech there at the end. I thought it was fine. Like
Yeah.
my dad got something out of that, and I got something out of that. So
Mhm.
that's just my piece on. That's my take on it. But two and three, of course, are just jingoistic, rah rah, go America action schlock. They're great at doing that, as are a lot of Stallone movies from that era. Um, but four is a very different beast, where it has an intensity and a cruelty to it that is kind of shocking, actually. Like some of the violence in that, like to this day, I watch certain scenes in that movie and I'm like, whoa, they just did that. Like it says a lot when like there's a brutal action sequence happening and you actually catch yourself, like as a seasoned viewer of like very violent action and horror films, like asking yourself, did I just see that? Was
Yeah.
that a baby on a bayonet being thrown into a fucking bonfire? It's like, yes, you did in fact see that. And I mean, even the opening scene of the movie is a bunch of people walking in a minefield, and it doesn't end happily for anyone. Um, really astoundingly brutal film, and also apparently, somewhat politically important, because it did draw attention to that region of the world. Myanmar,
Mm.
especially at the time, was kind of a turbulent. It was in a turbulent circumstance. If memory serves, like in watching the behind the scenes content for it, the guy who very very ably plays the antagonist of the film, like kind of the chief among the bad guys. Um, very good performance, like largely nonverbal in the form of him not being especially subtitled or anything. He just has a menacing presence about him. If memory serves, like I think the story behind him is that like he was actually politically endangered by being in that film as that kind
Really?
of character or something. Yeah, it was interesting to hear about that. But yeah, Brad's absolutely right. Um, the pace of the movie isn't especially consistent, but the last 10 minutes of it are just like Jesus,
Yeah.
like, it's like really, as far as action finales go, and in terms of just like gallons of blood spilt, it's in a rarefied air, honestly.
Yeah.
Just that when he hops into that 50 cal, like when he hops into the back of that truck, just the opening salvo of that action sequence is a man being decapitated by a machete, and then this poor guy who's like sitting in the truck, he doesn't know that someone else is operating the gun turret, and just dum 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 dum. It's just like, oh, that's what it looks like when a human being is rendered unto chunky salsa. It's just like everybody's in pieces, Brad. These aren't people anymore. They're just like meat bags.
Yeah, I like the choice to just go as like hardcore as you possibly could. Like I mean, it's certainly up there as one of like the goriest like action movies that I can think of. Like it's pretty intense.
Yeah, especially for like mainstream stuff. Like
Yeah,
and
yeah.
gory is the operative word there. Because like there's plenty of bloody movies, and there's plenty of movies with absurd body counts. I mean, John Wick, where that's again the impetus for having this particular conversation. Like dozens of people get killed in each and every one of those movies, but
Mhm.
it's not especially gory when it happens. Like there's no viscera, there's not even like digital blood every time somebody dies. But in Rambo 4, when people get hit by a 50 cal, they are in pieces.
Mhm.
And it's glorious. And also it's like one of those rare, very rare instances where they hold back for the majority of the runtime. Like there's quite a lot of violence in the movie leading up to that, but it doesn't really break out into like all out like Rambo action that you would expect from what you saw in 2 and 3.
Yeah.
It doesn't it's all kind of smashed into the end of the movie, but it actually sticks the landing, which is that is a gamble. Like speaking of Brad's bad gambling habits, like that is quite the gamble when it comes to
Yeah.
putting together an action film, is asking your audience who is chomping at the bit to see Rambo cut loose, like asking them to wait so long and then still have them leave the theater feeling satisfied.
And because isn't there I've only seen it the one time, but isn't there the whole thing like he's very reluctant to get involved, but then there's like that like hero shot where he finally puts on his bandana and he like comes over the hill sort of thing, and that's when it really kicks off, right?
Yeah, it's almost like a hero's journey, Brad.
Yeah.
He refuses the call, but then he accepts it later, like 2 seconds later, in fact. But yeah, he's guiding a team of mercenaries to rescue some missionaries in Myanmar. Um, and he's actually like kind of forced out of participating in the conflict. Like the mercenaries, they just look at him as an old man with a boat, and they're like, just you're gonna hurt somebody, man. It's not gonna be intentional. So they actually like force him out of things, and then if memory serves, he reinserts himself into the narrative with his trademark bow.
Okay.
Like he shoots a bunch of guys who like have them in a sticky situation. So he comes to their rescue by putting a bunch of arrows in people's heads. Um, pretty awesome bit where he spears a guy with an arrow and then they fall onto a landmine. It's pretty great.
Nice.
It's like, dude, you killed him like 3 times before he hit the ground.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, of
Yeah.
course I did have that movie set aside.
I figured. Yeah.
Although I have it in this hideous box here. This is terrible. Like the art of those folks, you need to see this. Is pretty
That's pretty
fucking
bad.
ugly, especially when you consider there's another movie outside of this box. So this is the first 4, and then I still have Rambo Last Blood because I'm a degenerate who will buy it if you make it, even though I didn't like
Does
it.
uh does the Rambo like the fourth Rambo movie in that set, does it have the unrated and theatrical cut?
Yeah, it
Okay.
does.
All right.
Rambo Last Blood, though, curiously has an international cut that doesn't exist in the US. It's
Mhm.
truly bizarre. The international version of the film has a different opening. It's one of the few changes. There's like the international version is just like probably objectively the better version of the movie, but for whatever the fuck reason they didn't include it in the American theatrical or physical media release. Basically, it's just a different opening sequence that kind of plays into some of the themes of that very limited story, and then like a couple of other dialogue scenes with the bad guys that actually fleshes them out a little bit. So it's very curious changes that it's kind of strange that we don't have them in any form in this country.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, that was obviously more of a Trevor pick than a Brad pick. That's your own damn fault,
I just
Brad.
had to break up the horror because that's probably all we're getting from here on out from me, so
All right. Well, on the off chance your boy Santino is watching, I know he's not, but maybe he'll watch this later or something. I have a pick that maybe he can appreciate. I don't know. Maybe he's too damn young for this shit. Who knows? So the pick is to me, I guess, even though I just kind of went. I have here a DVD box set. Again, sorry for all the DVDs, Brad. I know it makes you queasy to look at them, but I have here a box set from Funimation Productions. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, as to what I'm about to bust out here. Of 3 Dragon Ball Z films, and this is the front. This is the back. This is the image that's relevant, and then these are the spines. So I'll go ahead and pull this out. This is Lord Slug. And this is the 4th Dragon Ball Z film. Um, Dragon Ball Z, obviously, it got up to the several hundred, I think, in terms of episode counts. But they also had movies that I believe actually screened in Japanese theaters. And they're very seldom of actual feature length. Like most of them are like 45, 50 minutes. This one is 62, so it's actually fairly long by Dragon Ball Z movie standards. I think one of the longest ones is like 80 minutes or something like that. Anyway, this is the 4th one, and it's often regarded as one of the lesser Dragon Ball Z movies. And it's also, it occupies a very strange space in the Dragon Ball Z mythos, I guess, because the Japanese title of this, I don't have it off the top of my head, but the Japanese title of this actually refers to Super Saiyan Goku, or Super Saiyajin Goku, which at the time that the television show was airing, at the time the anime was airing on television, I don't think that had yet. I think that had yet to be revealed on TV. So nobody actually knew what that looked like, but it had been a thing that had been endlessly hyped and endlessly talked about, like prattled on about, in the manga and in the anime. So it was this hugely anticipated thing that everybody knew was going to happen, but nobody really knew what it was going to be. And this movie was explicitly advertised as the debut of it. This movie does not actually do that. so
Uh-oh.
so Goku freaks out and gets like a golden sheen to him, and he loses his irises and his pupils, and then he gets real strong for a couple of minutes, and that's kind of it. So even like casual fans or people who've rubbed up against Dragon Ball Z know what a quote Super Saiyan is supposed to look like. Basically, it's bleach blonde hair, spiked upwards with green eyes. That does not happen in this movie, even though it is in the title of the movie. It's because I don't think they had actually decided what it was just yet. So I guess they got gun shy about following through on it, or maybe ideas changed at the last second or something. But either way, it doesn't really matter because the movie itself is just not very good. It does have some novelty factor in the fact that it has a Namekian villain who does Namekian things, and that he grows real tall and he has stretchy arms and shit. But the animation quality is so. It has its moments where it looks kind of nice, but it's very, very, very inconsistent. And on the whole, it feels like a holding pattern story where it's like weird. All of these movies are that to some regard because all of them are non-canonical for the most part. But this one really feels like it's just treading water and not really reaching for the stars in terms of what they could do with their extended runtime and their larger budget. So it's a bit of a time waster, if I'm being honest. So 4th movie in the Dragon Ball Z series of 13 movies. It's one of the lesser ones, but I don't know. Maybe somebody out there likes it. I thought it was meh.
Well, I'm just so there. It's the 4th movie, but there's only 3 movies in that set.
Yes, there are 13 movies total. So this is again something that's going to make you barf, Brad. I have
So that's
two.
4
I
through
have
6 or something.
This is 4 through 6, correct?
Okay, okay, now that makes sense. Gotcha.
But I'm gonna make you puke now, Brad, because I'll tell you this much: they stopped making these boxes after 4 through 6.
Ugh.
So I have 1 through 3 and 4 through 6 in box form, and then beyond that, they didn't keep that trend. So the rest of them are just loose.
Well, I mean, yeah, that
Also,
is
some of them have
unfortunate.
clear cases and some of them do not.
That's
So
now that's a little grosser to me. That's actually grosser because that's like a choice.
I'm
Like,
I'm I'm trying to make you puke now, Brad.
the box thing, it's like, yeah, it might be it's a money thing, it's a cost thing, whatever. But yeah, clear versus not, that's a stylistic choice. That's a little more disgusting.
Yeah, they fucked up. They done
Yeah.
fucked up, and they know it.
Yeah.
They fucked me real good with that. But I bought into it. Like I bought into the ecosystem. In fact, I easily could have bought 4 through 6 in loose format. I held off actually because I wanted to get it in the box because I got the other 3 in the box. So I figured, hey, it'd probably be kind of nice if I had like a consistent thing going. And then they stopped doing it. And it's like, well, shit.
I mean, I guess the nice thing with that is that you could take them out of the box. Like, they are just individual cases in the box, right?
Yeah, I mean, the other thing I could do is probably sell these because I don't think they produced many of the boxes, and
Mm,
all of these are available on Blu-ray now,
okay.
um, and they've probably been handled pretty well too, being as it's a fucking Dragon Ball product. They generally do a good job with those because they generally sell very well.
Mhm. Yeah. Very interesting, very interesting.
I know it's not at all to you, Brad, but
No, I just
you don't have to pretend.
it's just a world that I don't know. I do like dipping my toe in, learning a little bit, but, it's, hard for me to retain a lot of the, knowledge.
Well, it's perfectly fine. The last thing I'll say is that I do actually have a special appreciation for the Dragon Ball Z movies in particular. That's a weird thing to say because I don't think many people feel that way. I think a lot of people just are very dismissive of them because they are non-canonical. I'm not married to the lore of Dragon Ball Z. I just, I like the characters, and I have a thing about quality animation where if I'm going to watch it, I generally like it to be of a certain standard. And if I'm being honest, like the TV version of the product was grossly inconsistent in its presentation. And it was very, very frustrating to me, even as a kid. So watching these like 45 to 1 hour long movies was much more palatable to me, especially because all you need to know is the gist of the characters, and then all like when I was a kid, I had bootleg VHSs of all these, and I would just put them in the VCR, and it's 45 minutes or something, and it looks better than the TV show did. I already know what the characters are all about. They're not characters that are especially well known for their fucking growth. They're all pretty well crystallized the moment they're introduced to you. That's by design. So it's like a fun little adventure. Like each and every one of them is very self-contained, and they all have a particular vibe to them, and they all have, from an animation standpoint, a particular, I guess, like a shtick or like a trick that they're trying to play up or something. Kind of similar to like how like Pixar or any other animation studio sometimes comes at projects with like a challenge in mind for themselves. Like Monsters Incorporated was like, let's do hair. We haven't really
Mhm.
done hair before. And like I think it was uh was it The Road to El Dorado. It was like, oh, water and gold are really, really hard to render in animation. Let's do both of those in the same fucking movie. And some of these movies have that kind of quality to them as well. But anyway,
Hmm.
it's something that's near and dear to me, but I want to say that's very uncommon. Like I
Just
don't think many people like these movies.
just yeah, it's an interesting choice, like you say, that they're non-canonical. Like,
Yeah,
you would think you'd want, like, just in terms of making money, like, you'd want them to be, like, canonical. Like, you have to wa if you're a fan of the shows, you have to watch these movies to know what's going on.
I think it's also symptomatic of the time too. Whereas
Mhm.
if you did, and they are making Dragon Ball movies now, I'm pretty sure they do make them part of the core narrative now, just because it's the style of the time. But back then, I think just the scheduling of things was so inconsistent and scattered that's like we can't ask that of people. Like even we don't know when things are going to happen. It isn't the same ecosystem that we have now. But anyway, I've said more than enough. So Brad, uh, what is your next Fantastic Four pick?
Oh, alright, let's go with this one, and this is definitely not fantastic, but, why not? Let's go with it. There's a funny story with this one. Very, very funny. Ha ha ha. This film is the fourth entry in the Final Destination franchise. It is the Final Destination. The Final Destination. And it wasn't the final one because they did do Final Destination 5 afterwards, and they do have a sixth one coming out. But this is number 4. This is the one that takes place the opening at a racetrack disaster. And this was it came out at a time where I was like really into these movies for some reason, and I was really hyped for this movie. Went and saw it in theaters, and it did come out in 3D. And the 3D actually, it was a very gimmicky use of it, but it was actually kind of fun in theaters. I actually kind of, in a lot of ways, prefer my 3D like that. The movie itself is not good though; it's pretty bad. I would say it's definitely my least favorite of the franchise. It's very over the top, like it's very goofy. The acting is horrendous, and it's weird too because it's directed by David R. Ellis, who did the second one, which is actually my favorite of the franchise. So he's got the peak and the valley. He's got the best and worst. Um, but yeah, there's like a few. I mean, some of the kills are okay, like the uh the rock and the lawnmower that like goes through somebody is okay. The one that is just like it's memorable, but it makes no sense and it's really bad is the guy who he's like in a mechanic's garage and like a nitrous tank hits him and it propels him into a chain link fence and the fence slices him up into pieces, and I would love for Mythbusters or somebody to figure out how fast he would need to be going for a chain link fence to cut through somebody, like, turn them into Swiss cheese, essentially. Unless it was made of like razor wire, I guess, maybe, but I don't know. Um, so yeah, this one's pretty bad. The funny thing is that I bought this movie because I actually the only two Final Destination movies that I own are 4 and 5. I bought this movie thinking just like I think I was at FYE, a local store that sells Blu-rays, and I saw this and I was just looking to buy something, support your local video store kind of thing. Saw this for like I think it was like $5. I'm like, yeah, whatever, I'll pick it up. Looking at it, thinking that it was actually Final Destination 5 because it is called The Final Destination. So I just like was like, oh yeah, that's the last one. Yeah, that's 5. Boom. And then I got home, opened the bag, and like, wait, no, this is number 4. I wanted 5. This is the worst one. So I ended up going back and buying Final Destination 5. But this one, I do own it. So there you go.
It's funny you talk about it in that kind of tone because, like, maybe it's just me, but like most of my memories of the Final Destination movies are pretty positive. Like I was on board for that franchise, kind of similar to how one would be on board with Saw,
Yeah.
where it kind of had that relationship to me, where it's the annual horror thing. It didn't carry on as long, nor do I think was it as financially successful, but just the Rube Goldberg machine of death. It's a wonderful concept, and for the most part, they did a pretty good job with a lot of the kills. Just the novelty factor and the constant like tension and release of like how is it going to happen? We all know it's going to happen, but exactly how they
Hmm.
keep you guessing a lot of times. It's a fun setup, and it
Yeah.
worked for a while. I actually didn't know that they have another one in the works. Any idea when that's dropping?
I think it's supposed to be this year. I think it is like a straight to streaming kind of thing.
Oh,
Um,
that's not good.
yeah. And I will say, I actually, I love this franchise. I will say, like, I'm mostly just shitting on this individual movie here because this is easily my least favorite of the franchise. I think it is bad. But no, I love the concept. Like the opening of Final Destination 2, the car crash sequence is amazing. Um, and 5, I think I've only seen the fifth one once, but the fifth one's quite good.
Is
Like
that the one with the bridge as
yeah,
the
the
opener?
bridge and the gymnast death is real good. I
Oh yeah,
love that kill.
oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I generally like those movies. And when they stopped making them, uh, I wasn't super disappointed or anything, but I found myself in a position again very similar to Saw, where it's like, if you make it, I'll show up. Although I say that having not seen Jigsaw, or no, excuse me, Spiral. That's the Chris Rock one, correct?
Yes, Spiral.
Yeah, so I did see Jigsaw, but I haven't bothered with Spiral, and I think that may have been because of your comments about it.
Quite bad.
If you did an episode on it, I definitely listened to it, and I probably didn't get much out of it.
Yeah. I also want to say my mistake in buying these movies, the covers are quite similar. Like, the covers are very similar. Both
Yeah.
a head being impaled or shattered in some way.
Well, and I'm
Um,
sure the Final Destination, I'm sure the is like microscopic on that
yeah.
cover.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Okay,
So
well, what I'm getting from this is that your dour tone comes from the sour memory of knowing that you accidentally bought that movie.
yeah, it was just a classic rookie mistake. Like, I just don't know how I actually looked at it, went up, purchased it, went home with it, didn't even like all the whole time thinking like because I'd only seen Final Destination 5 the one time. And I these are the only two I own on Blu-ray. I have a set that has a DVD like collection of the first four. So that was another reason where I'm like, oh, again, I'm anti DVD, but I was like, well, I don't own the fifth one in any form. So I was like, oh, I'll buy the fifth one. And then I got home and like, oh, I bought the worst one that I do already own on DVD. And so it was just real bummer, man. Real bummer.
Okay, well, just one pit stop. Collector real talk, Brad. Have you ever bought the like identical version of a movie on accident? Like, have you ever
Yes.
accidentally repurchased the exact same version of a movie before?
Yes. And it led to a huge showdown at Barnes and Noble. A huge showdown. It was a Criterion purchase. I believe it was I believe it was The Wages of Fear. The Wages of Fear. And I bought it and I opened it and then I realized I was like, "Oh shit, I already own The Wages of Fear." And I bought it online. And so I was like, "Oh, what am I going to do?" So my local Barnes and Noble uh does not have a media section. Like they've got like maybe like one rack of like new release stuff. But they don't have like a Criterion section. So I was like, well, I bought this through Barnes and Noble with their Criterion sale. I wonder if I can just return it up there and they can ship it off to Barnes and Noble headquarters, whatever, like with Best Buy. If you buy something through Best Buy online, you can take it into a physical Best Buy and they'll do the return for you. Like you don't need to ship it yourself. Like which is I like that. That's like nice and easy. Boom, we're done. So I was like, I better call because Barnes and Noble it was like 20 minutes away, like not far, but it's like I don't want to go all the way up there and then be like, oh, we can't return it. So I call my local Barnes and Noble and I get some guy and I'm like, hey, I've got this Criterion Blu-ray that's unopened. I've got the receipt. I just want to return it. I know you guys don't really sell Criterion movies or Blu-rays at all, but can I return it up through your guys' store? And the guy was like, "Oh yeah, that's no problem. Yeah, yeah, bring it in." Like, cool. So I think it was maybe the next day I went up there and I don't totally remember the story, but I don't know if it was the same guy, but I went to make a return and the guy was like, "All right, sure." And he is like trying to do something with it and he's like, I'm having some issues and here." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I know you guys don't sell it here." And he's like, "Oh, okay, really?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I called yesterday and you guys said that I could return it here." And he's like, "I'm okay. I'm gonna go get my manager." And he brings this lady out, and she was not having it. She was pissed, and so she starts giving it to me. She's like, "We can't return this. We can't. Why would we return this? We don't sell it here." And I bring up the Best Buy situation. I'm like, "Well, when you buy something on Best Buy, you can return it in store." And I was like, "I literally called this store, and you said I could return it here." And she's like, "Well, who did you talk to?" I'm like, I didn't get his name. I called yesterday. Who's working yesterday?" And we're giving it back and forth. Finally, she did take the return. She literally took it and she's like, "This is literally going to get tossed in the garbage right now." And I said, "Fine. I just want my money back." Like she literally said they were going to toss it in the garbage. And I said, "You know what? Fine. fucking toss the Wages of Fear in the garbage. Who gives a shit? Just give me back my $20. And she did. And I tell you, that Barnes and Noble, dude, they're something else up there. Anyway.
They're on your Steve Buscemi hit list.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I every time I go back, I haven't seen her in a while. Hopefully, she doesn't work there anymore. But I always worry about running into that lady. But yeah,
Brad just wanders the aisles of Barnes and Noble, just throwing this out.
yeah. There was another thing too, where
there's more.
I don't remember the other one, but there was another time where I think it was like I was gifted something. Somebody gifted me something with a gift receipt, but they like bought it like a month before and I'd already had the book or something. And I tried to return it and they wouldn't let me because they're like, well, you could have just read this. And like, I didn't get it until last week. Like, what? So it's garbage. They're garbage.
That's fucking frustrating, but it's also fucking sad because all
Mhm.
it does is put a magnifying glass on the state of their affairs. Is,
Mhm.
I'm sure there's a directive from on high at Barnes and Noble saying accept no returns, not
Yeah.
ever. Like product comes in, product goes out. That's it. That's the end of the life cycle.
Hey, if you badger them enough, they'll do it. They'll do it. They'll say, I'm throwing this in the garbage, but
Brad is that
whatever.
guy. Brad is the guy with the pumpkin spice latte who will not back down.
I mean,
He's a
it,
fucking pit bull.
I told her, I was like, if I hadn't called, if I just come up and you said I couldn't do it, I would have walked away. I was fine. But because I called and whoever was working that day, they gave me the wrong info, but that's on them. And I told her, I was like, I live 20 minutes away. I drove 20 minutes up here. I got to drive 20 minutes back. I'm wasting 40 minutes of my day plus gas money. So there you go.
I forget the exact quote, but in the words of Dale Gribble from King of the Hill, it's like, I am your worst nightmare. I am a citizen with a multi-line telephone and nothing better to do with my time.
Yeah. Yep.
Brad's like, we didn't have a problem. I'm gonna make you my problem, and you don't want that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's
Okay,
just,
well,
yeah.
don't piss
I
off
mean,
Brad, folks. You heard it here.
they gave me the wrong information. You got to train your employees better. That's the motto.
Okay. Well, for the record, I don't think I've ever accidentally repurchased anything. I've done so intentionally once or twice for stupid reasons. Like I remember I had a situation where I needed a case because a movie I had run all night. Whoever I bought it from, it was a secondhand purchase. Whoever I bought it from sent it to me in an unconventionally sized Blu-ray case, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
well, that can't stick around. Like that looks terrible on the shelf. It sticks out like a sore thumb. So all I needed was a case, and nobody would sell me one or give me one for like a reasonable price. So I ended up just buying Shooter. I think Antoine Fuqua's Shooter, which I already owned because it was literally $2. And it's like, all I want is the case. And they're like, you got to buy the movie. It's like, I'm going to throw it out. They're like, you got to buy the movie. It's like, okay. So I bought the fucking movie and I threw it away.
What you should have done is dug through the dumpster at my local Barnes and Noble. You'd probably find a bunch of Blu-rays in there.
Yeah. I would have if I could have, but no. I at one point owned 2 copies of Antoine Fuqua's Shooter, although I think I've only watched that movie once.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, this might be my last pick, depending on the vibe here. So I'm going to make it count. So my next Fantastic Four pick, fittingly enough, consists of 4 movies. Because I'm a cheating bastard. And why am I highlighting Brad right now? You don't get the single, I get the single, bitch. So I did mention again, trying to do some of that marketing / promotional synergy business here. Based on the numbers, it's not really working. But John Wick Chapter 4, the release of that movie serves as the impetus for us discussing 4th entries in movie franchises. So I have here, I believe, every 4th entry in a franchise that this particular actor has participated in, to my knowledge. And one of these is kind of a cheat. Like you have to come at it from a certain point of view to justify it. But that actor, of course, is one Scott Adkins, who is one of my
Nice.
very favorites. He comes up on literally every episode of this show in some shape or form. But I have here Scott Adkins, Boyka Undisputed 4. That is quite the name. So this has a 4 on the cover. So even if you know aren't familiar with the franchise, you'll know it's the fourth chapter of something. Um, I also have, and this is the one that is a little bit of a cheat because technically this is not the fourth. Although from a certain point of view, you can treat it as the fourth because I believe this is the fourth like studio production of this franchise. It's not the fourth film, but it's like the fourth one that this particular studio has handled. Uh, I'm bullshitting you, but actually, if you look this up online, you can find people trying to justify this. So this is also starring Scott Adkins, but also featuring Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren, Universal Soldier: Day of Reckoning. Actually, I would recommend this one to you, Brad. Um, and the fourth, and this came up earlier, X Men, excuse me, the fourth X-Men film, X-Men Origins Wolverine, of course, features Scott Adkins as Ryan Reynolds' stunt double for the Weapon 11 sequence towards the very end of the film. And then, of course, another number 4, also featuring Scott Adkins, but not starring. He's the chief antagonist of the film, though. I have the Well Go 4K box set of the Ip Man films. And he's only in the fourth one, which is this one here. Just to pull it out of the case here. That's the cover. That's the back. And he is barely visible, but he's the guy wearing the goofy hat. um, yeah, he's the chief antagonist of Ip Man 4, and to my knowledge, that was his first collaboration with Donnie Yen. First time he was in a Donnie Yen film, and he'll be sharing the screen with Donnie Yen in John Wick Chapter 4. I don't know if they'll have any interactions together, but based on the trailers, they're at least on the same set at some point. So fun little reunion, along with several other people that Scott Adkins has had the opportunity to work with. So very much looking forward to see what he has to offer. But yeah, those are 4 different movies that happen to be fourth entries in franchises, all featuring Scott Adkins. The man works. The man puts in hours. Just say that much.
Now, let me ask you,
Yo.
because regarding that X-Men one, I personally kind of looked at the franchise a little differently in that I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, and in fact, you're probably more right than me, but the one that I instinctively went to as the fourth entry in the X-Men series would be the X-Men First Class, and that the X-Men Origins Wolverine would be the first Wolverine solo movie, is how I looked at
Oh,
that.
also another angle you could play is it's the first and to date only X-Men Origins film
It's
because
true. That's true.
there were plans at one point to make a Magneto film, which also would have bore the X-Men Origins moniker.
That is
So
true.
in terms of overarching X-Men franchise, you could be right on that. I mean, this one is like it's even on the cover, X-Men Origins. That is the branding. So you might be right there, Brad. I may have
Yeah.
just bungled badly.
Well, but if you look at the franchise as a whole, it is the fourth
It's the fourth
entry.
released film.
The fourth release. Yeah, yeah. So that could go either way. But I was just surprised because I was, that's although I don't have that movie, so that might be why I didn't grab that one. But
It's a very good reason you don't have this movie,
yeah.
Brad.
But I grabbed this one instinctually. Yeah. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, other than that, good picks, and I'm hyped to see Scott Adkins in John Wick 4.
Have you seen what he looks like?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm even more excited.
Yeah, so am I. I don't know what to expect, but he does look like he's perhaps attempting to channel some Colin Farrell energy. Probably probably saw what Colin Farrell did with pounds of makeup appliances in the Batman, and he was like, "Oh, I could do something with that." Um, very curious what sort of choreography they're going to have him doing, because I assume he's there to throw hands. But based on his appearance, it's like, what kind of movements are they going to have him doing?
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
um, but among these films, as I said, I'm not going to linger on this. I'll spare you that, Brad. But I will point out that uh, Universal Soldier: Day of Reckoning. This is a John Hyams film. So Peter Hyams' son.
Hmm.
He was it Peter or John that recently put out the COVID era slasher movie that I think you said was not that great. It was,
Oh, I want to say it was John. I want to say it was John.
I think so. You said that wasn't that great. Was there any element to the direction that stood out to you?
Not real. I mean, some people did like it because it's quite straightforward in terms of it almost being like almost kind of like a slasher chase movie. Like it is very straightforward. It really isn't until the ending that things kind of, there's a little bit of a spin on it. But yeah, I don't know. I felt it was almost a little too straightforward that I was kind of unimpressed with it in terms
Yeah, I
of the
haven't I
direction.
haven't seen it, but it's on the strength of movies like this that John Hyams is on my radar. He seems like given the right projects or working with the right people, he does have something to offer. I mean, his dad isn't the same person, but he definitely has had some pretty great films on his filmography. But this is legitimately a pretty solid little action movie. It is fairly low budget, but it really delivers on the action front, and more importantly for you, Brad, the gore front. This is a very gory movie,
Yeah.
um, very much so, and it has kind of a fever dream quality to it that feels overplayed at times. But when it comes to like hard hitting action, this is actually pretty exceptional for direct to video action. Plus, you get JCVD and Dolph, and they're both doing some interesting stuff. Dolph, in particular, seems to be having a lot of fun. And when Dolph is having fun, we're having fun.
Mhm.
But yeah, very, very bloody. Very, very bloody. They take advantage of. It's kind of like the Captain America movies, where they take advantage of the tools present in the characters. Where if you're going to choreograph action for Captain America, it's in your best interest to factor in the fact that he's able to do incredible things. So when he hits people, put them on a wire rig and have them fly through a fucking wall is what I'm saying. And in
Mhm.
this movie, you have stuff like that where it's like people do superhuman things seemingly effortlessly, and it's pretty cool to watch. Really good squibs too. Um,
Yeah.
and then of course, Undisputed for Boyka. This is Scott Adkins took over the franchise as the protagonist, beginning with the third film, and to date, this is the most recent one. Um, but the third film has a tournament movie structure to it, whereas this one is basically just a showcase for Scott Adkins, and it's a very, very good one. So if you want to see what he's all about, that's pretty decent starting point. Actually, a number four of all things. Um, but beyond that, I've probably said more than enough about those other movies. So um, I will kick it over to you again, Brad. What is your next Fantastic Four pick?
All right, I can end off on this one as well, I suppose.
Cool.
And this one it's a little bit of a it's a little bit of a cheat, but we'll go with it. It is a film that it's either the fourth in a franchise or the first in a franchise. It's either the fourth or the first, and it's a little bit of that Wolverine uh, scenario, and that is Scanner Cop.
Yeah.
Scanner Cop, the first Scanner Cop movie, which is the fourth Scanner movie after Scanners 2 and Scanners 3. Um, Now this is a Vinegar Syndrome release. Awesome release. This is probably one of my favorite Vinegar Syndrome releases. Both Scanner Cop 1 and Scanner Cop 2, the Showdown, both on 4K. Now, I will say that Scanner Cop is okay. There's a few moments of makeup effects that are pretty solid. Specifically, the opening with these little heads growing off this guy here. Um, And I think the end has a few good moments. Yeah, Richard Lynch playing the villain. He's pretty solid in it. But so that's the fourth entry. That's the one that we're highlighting. But I do have to say that Scanner Cop 2 is easily better than Scanner Cop 1. Like it's so much better. It's just so streamlined. It's literally just like it's still like an investigative sort of cop movie, but it's played with like the speed of essentially just being like a slasher where the villain is essentially just going around and every 10 minutes killing somebody in a creative, gruesome, scanner-esque way. And it really kind of just knows that we're just there for the kills at this point, and it delivers. And I like the actor, what's his name? Um, um, Patrick Kilpatrick. Patrick
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Kilpatrick.
yeah, yeah. He's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. He's the villain in this. He's hamming it up, but he's very good. And yeah, these movies are pretty fun. I like Scanner Cop 2 a little bit more than Scanner Cop 1, but you know, an interesting place to take the franchise. I have not seen Scanners 2 or 3, so I don't know totally like where they go, but I like the idea. Yeah, the idea of, you know, making it like an investigative movie, a cop drama sort of thing. It works having your scanner be a cop. I mean, what more do you need? It's right in the title, Scanner Cop.
It's, I mean, like, what year did those movies come out, by the way?
Boy, 90s, I want to say, early 90s, 93 and 94.
It's a little late to be trying to cash in on the RoboCop phenomenon, but you know, RoboCop was still technically a thing. Like RoboCop 3 was around the time I think that was roughly around 1993.
Mhm.
So maybe they were trying to do something with that with the title, because it's like RoboCop, like weirdly blunt.
Yeah.
Scanner cop. it's,
Yep.
it's like, just tell the people what it is. It's like, it's a
Mhm.
scanner, but he's a cop. It's like,
And
oh,
it
okay.
is they were both direct to video.
Yeah,
They both, yeah. So I would not be surprised if, yeah, they were trying to bank on their RoboCop name a little bit.
I have to imagine. But First Scanners is, of course, you know, a David Cronenberg film. I feel like, funny enough, Kyle and I just talked about Joe Dante's The Howling. I feel like similar to that, actually. Scanners is somewhat overshadowed by some of its makeup effects, where it's like there is a movie, but it's bookended by some like really astounding and very memorable like gore and makeup effects. But there is a movie there, and there's some really interesting like social commentary in particular going on in there.
Mhm.
I don't remember that stuff as well
No.
as I do, you know, people's heads exploding. I've never seen a Scanner Cop movie, but um, actually, you could argue the podcast that kind of inspired Kyle and I to get going with our own We Hate Movies. I think they did a commentary for one of those movies. Are you able to see that on the box or anything like that? Because I
Yeah,
think
let's
it's one of the
check it
Scanner
out.
Cop movies.
Let's see. Making of documentary, commentary track by the We Hate Movies podcast on the
Holy
first
shit!
one.
On the first one, okay.
Let me check too. Maybe they did two.
Is-
No, they just did one.
okay, too lazy, too busy.
Yeah.
That's what it means when
Scanner
you're a successful podcast. You can only
Scanner
find time
Cop
to do
2
one.
has a commentary track with director Steve Barnett. So there you go.
Household name Steve Barnett. Um, yeah, I remember seeing that advertised when Vinegar Syndrome was putting out those discs, and I very nearly pulled the trigger on that just because out of curiosity, and also just, you know, like, I don't know, showing appreciation on some level by giving
Mhm.
money to other people. So, but um, obviously, I didn't end up buying it. But that's really fascinating, though, how they didn't apparently get it right the first time, but in the Scanner Cop universe, 2 is where it's at.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's, like, the majority opinion because like, it actually I think the letterboxed, like, the average rating, I think number 2 is actually slightly below number 1.
Mhm.
So I'm maybe in the minority in thinking that, but I think Scanner Cop 2 is just awesome. I like genuinely, I think I like it more than the original Scanners, if I'm being totally honest. Like it's just it knows what it is. It's fast paced. It's fun. And the guy who wrote the movie You're Next, The Guest, he's like Adam Wingard's screenwriter, Simon
Yeah,
Barrett.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Simon
Um,
Barrett, that's right.
I believe he is in the making of featurette on both of these releases, and I do think he did agree with my statement that he prefers Scanner Cop 2.
Wow. Have you ever done like a friend screening of Scanner Cop 2?
Not yet, but that has been one that I have been hinting to my friends ever since I saw Scanner Cop 2. I was like, next time we're hanging out, we're watching Scanner Cop 2. Like it's
You got
hasn't
to do
happened
it.
yet, but it's
You
been
got to
hinted
do
at
it,
many
man.
times.
Make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm curious to hear that how that goes down. Um, but how was the disc quality though? I mean, I'm sure it's up to Vinegar Syndrome standards.
Yeah. Oh, they look great. Yep. Absolutely.
Awesome. Man, it's been a long time since I've checked out their catalog. Like I think I saw that they announced Showgirls, and apparently like the pre-orders were insane or something.
Yep. I got some serious FOMO and I ended up pre-ordering it.
Oh, you did?
Well, they were like, it's our fastest selling title yet. And normally they say how many copies are available, but since it's just pre-orders, they didn't have it listed. And I was like, man, I really don't want to miss out on it. So I did pre-order it. So
Well, it's a fun one. I mean,
yeah.
I've seen it. I don't own it, but it's a Paul Verhoeven, and I forget that I used to know the name of the screenwriter. But it's an interesting story in Hollywood history. There's an
Hmm.
absurdly high-priced screenplay for an absolute trash movie with a very, very, very talented director at the helm. It's like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
Watch and find out.
Just, I want to remind you real quick, next time you're considering making a Vinegar Syndrome purchase, let me know. Let me use you. Let me use me as a referral because I believe I do get 500 rewards points for their
Okay.
Vinegar Syndrome rewards if I refer a friend. And you're pretty much the only one I know that would buy anything from them. So you're my
Well,
only hope.
give me a poke next time there's a sale.
Yeah.
I think I skipped out on the last one, but like I said, it's been a long time since I've looked their way. But next time they have a sale, just give me a nudge.
And I did my pre-order of Showgirls. I did use my rewards. I had $5 off. So just a heads up, everybody. I didn't spend the full price on it.
Crazy person, jeez.
Yeah.
I have a life outside of this podcast.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was a very solid fourth pick there, Brad. I think that concludes our Fantastic Fours for this episode of Tales from the Shelf. But as is customary, we shall conclude by doing a little something that we like to call the speed round. And essentially, what we're going to do here is just a quick run through of all the picks that we had set aside that we did not discuss in full. So, Brad, I have mine all set up and good to go, but would you care to go first or should I?
Yeah, you can take it away. Go ahead.
Okay. As I said, this is a speed round, so I'm not going to be lingering on these. So I'm just going to rattle them off. And by the way, I think I pulled aside like literally every number 4 pick that I have on my shelf, and I was kind of taken aback by how many I have. So I have here Bloodsport 4, The Dark Kumite, starring Daniel Bernhardt, who is a 8711 member. You very well may remember him as one of the chief henchmen from the very first John Wick. He's in virtually all of their productions in some shape or form, either behind the scenes or in front of the camera. Very, very experienced martial artist and stuntman. Cool guy. He shows up in the damnedest of places, especially these days because this movie's from the mid '90s, and he starred in Bloodsport 2 through 4, along with at least one movie that was covered on Mystery Science Theater. I believe that's Future War. Um, and that was all in the mid '90s. But nowadays, like in the 2020s and 2010s, he's in like major Hollywood blockbuster movies. As you know, he's a hired goon. Like he's just a guy who gets to fall down and look cool doing it. But he's still doing it and still looking good doing it. So it's like, wow, if you hang around long enough, you get to do some cool shit
Yeah.
with some cool people. Apparently, um, I have Mad Max Fury Road, which is of course the fourth Mad Max film, and many would argue the best. Um, I have Aliens versus Predator double feature, which this is a hideous fucking box. But technically, Aliens versus Predator Requiem is the fourth Predator film, I believe.
Doing some mental gymnastics on that one.
Yeah, I could be wrong on the dates of that. Predators may be the fourth, but I think it was Requiem. I could be wrong on that
Okay.
though. I have a embarrassing Blu-ray box set, very similar to the problem that we've been talking about all episode long. This franchise has continued on unexpectedly. Mission Impossible 5 movie collection.
Mm-hmm.
There are going to be no less than 8 of these fuckers by the time we're done. I have the Die Hard Nakatomi Plaza collection. I have you can't see it in the corner there, but I have the stupid fucking plastic tower. But Live Free or Die Hard is the fourth Die Hard movie. Ghost Protocol, by the way, is the fourth Mission Possible movie. It's a good one. I think that was Brad Bird, and his
Mm-hmm.
animation history is very apparent in the pacing and the choreography of a lot of the scenes. Like you can tell they storyboarded the shit out of a lot of sequences in that movie, and it has a very bouncy, fun quality to it. Um, Live Free or Die Hard is it's barely a Die Hard movie. I think it's okay. A lot of people hate it, but I think it's fine. Like I find it to be mostly watchable. Some of the set pieces are pretty decent. It looks expensive. Like it doesn't appear to be a cheap film. I think that was Len Wiseman, who I think he might be. I think he might be at the helm of the ballerina movie,
Mm.
the John Wick spinoff. I think that's the case. I could be wrong on that. I have the Terminator anthology. Terminator Salvation is the fourth one, directed by everybody's favorite McG, who I always forget. And actually, I'm reminded by this because my girlfriend, she's a huge fan of Chuck, the TV show. And when she had me sit down to try to watch it with her, I was like, "Fucking produced by McG, the fuck?" And then like there was some other show that she put on, and again I saw produced by McG. What the? Apparently he's a big time television producer or something.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't aware of that. I just knew him as the Charlie's Angels guy, and the This Is War guy. This means war guy or whatever. Um, Indiana Jones Complete Adventures no longer complete because we have a fifth one coming out this fucking year. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Yikes. Those fucking monkeys, man. The groundhogs and the monkeys, man.
Yeah.
uh, the Rocky Undisputed collection, which I will upgrade to 4K on the Rocky movies because I love me some Rocky. It's maybe my favorite film franchise, but the current state of Rocky on 4K is troubling. That box set that just came out is getting some terrible reviews, and it's grossly incomplete. I'm holding out hope for the rumors. It's strictly rumors that Stallone, in an attempt to reclaim some sort of ownership over the IP, is working on a director's cut of both Rocky 5 and 6. Again, rumors, but in the case of Rocky 5, I would love to see that. But I'm hoping that's the case, and I'm hoping someday we get like a decent 4K box set of all the Rocky movies. But currently, we don't have that. Um, the Magnificent Seven collection. The Magnificent Seven Ride is the fourth Magnificent Seven movie, headlined by Lee Van Cleef, of all people. Half of me wants to think maybe he did that movie just so he could say, I got to play a good guy once. Not with that face, dude. I have a box that's going to upset you, Brad. 4 film favorites Batman collection. It's hideous, I know.
Yeah.
Batman and Robin. Obviously, it's the fourth released Batman. No, technically it's fifth if you factor in Mask of the Phantasm. But I'm not counting that. So fourth live action Batman movie. Avengers Endgame on 4K, fourth Avengers movie. Thor on Blu-ray, fourth Marvel or MCU movie. And then another potentially embarrassing box. Oh, already embarrassing, excuse me, but fairly priced and still in the shrink wrap. Uh, the Jurassic World 5 movie collection. There are 6 movies in this franchise. It hasn't even been opened because it was one of those purchases where it's like it's the right thing for the right price. But yeah, Jurassic World is obviously the fourth overarching Jurassic Park movie entry, not Jurassic World, of which they got up to 3 of those. But yeah, those were literally all of my number 4s, Brad. Ball is to you, sir. Proceed into the speed round.
Yeah, a lot of them you just mentioned. I've got the Rocky. This is the heavyweight collection.
Ooh,
So I don't know what the difference, which one's preferred, but yeah,
fuck if I
obviously,
know.
yeah, obviously Rocky 4. I have Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, just the individual Blu-ray, but uh, maybe my favorite. I don't know. I do really like whatever the newest one was called. I do like 6 a lot.
Fallout.
Fallout's really good. I mean, I other than 2, I think they're all I love. I mean, even the first one I think is amazing. I absolutely love the franchise. Um, Indiana Jones Complete Adventures. Was yours the Blu-ray or 4K? Mine's just a Blu-ray.
Mine too.
Okay, yeah, I haven't upgraded the 4K yet. I do have Jurassic World Blu-ray only. I will say, absolutely gross, absolutely disgusting, shameful that your 4K set is the Jurassic World collection and not the Jurassic Park collection. Because even within that collection, the 5 movies that you have there, obviously now it's a little more equal, but there's more use of Jurassic Park than Jurassic World. In your 5 movie collection, there's 3 Jurassic Parks, even though one is the Lost World Jurassic Park, but still just gross, absolutely gross.
You
But
you get it, Brad. You
yeah,
get it. You feel
I
my pain.
I do like this movie though. I do think the first Jurassic World was not perfect by any means, but about as good as you can expect for rebooting the franchise. Like they did a solid job on it.
Yeah.
Um, Mad Max Fury Road, Blu-ray only, but exclusive steelbook that I pre-ordered at Best Buy back when I was into steelbooks. And this was along with Kong Skull Island. This Blu-ray was lost for years. I couldn't find where this was, and then eventually I found it in some like bag or something in a corner of a room. But I found it. So, and then the only other ones I have the Halloween complete collection, Halloween 4, the return of Michael Myers. I know a lot of people really like that one. I'm not super crazy about it. It's okay, but it's not that great. Although the opening titles or like the opening shot, like first few shots of the movie are good. Like probably the best part of the movie. It's all downhill from there. All downhill.
I largely
Um,
agree. Yeah.
yeah. We have, let's see. I'm just making sure that this is right. I have the Exorcist anthology, and I believe it is Exorcist the Beginning, which is the fourth one because they did the 2 cuts essentially. Like you and I have talked about this, right? The
Yeah, they made one movie and then released it twice or something.
Yeah, it's like they weren't happy with who is it? Paul Schrader. They weren't happy with Paul Schrader's version of the movie, so they brought in Rennie Harlan to essentially
To make it dumb.
yeah, to like I'm sure they reshot some stuff, but also like re-edit. So it's essentially 2 versions of the same movie. And they were released pretty close back to back. I have to say that so it's the Rennie Harlan version is the 4th one chronologically, and I that is actually I kind of got burnt out on Exorcist movies, so I never actually saw the Paul Schrader version.
That's
Like,
that's actually really funny because I believe that's when they brought him into Nightmare on Elm Street as well.
yeah,
Yeah, the fourth one.
there you go. I mean,
Yeah, the
he's the
Dream Master.
guy.
Yeah.
And then last thing is the Alien anthology, so Alien Resurrection, which I did just rewatch, and is not good, but I didn't hate it as much as a lot of people seem to. I thought it was at least somewhat watchable in a really dumb, aesthetically gross way. But
I actually disagree about the aesthetics. They are disgusting, but there's a vision, like there's a consistency in the
there
aesthetic.
is.
Like the French filmmaker, I believe, he did the City of Lost Children.
Hmm.
Clearly, he knew what he was going for. It's deeply unpleasant to look at.
Yeah.
Everybody looks terrible. Like everybody looks just cracked out,
Mhm.
like very very tired, with huge bags under their eyes, and just a terrible pallor to their skin. But there's a vision there, so I can respect that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a vision. I don't quite like the vision, but it's. I'll give it credit. Yeah, it's there.
Bonus points for Dan Hedaya. Anytime he shows up, Michael Wincott as well. Like
Yeah,
bonus points for both of them. Like as short a time as they have in that film, just you get like a half-star bump just for
yeah,
having them.
yeah,
Honestly,
yeah. Absolutely.
yeah, I have that box too, that exact same one. But I think the girlfriend put it in a drawer somewhere.
Oh, well,
There's a we have a watch list running that just keeps growing, where it's like every time I'm talking at her, I will admit to that, talking at her about movies that she should see and appreciate, they get pulled off the shelf and put in a drawer somewhere so we can forget about it. But the point is, we'll get to it sometime. So I'm pretty sure the Alien movies are all in a drawer somewhere.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well, great picks. This ended up being a really fun topic.
yeah. Good,
Despite
good,
it
good
being,
suggestion.
yeah, it kind of was a long shot, but it ended up not really being that because again, I'm just taken aback by how many fourth entries and franchises there are, and how many of them are actually pretty worthwhile. So,
Yeah.
I guess the next time somebody rolls their eyes about I don't know, whatever series being too long in the tooth and like overstaying its welcome or something, it's like, some good things can come out of that sometimes. So, maybe lighten up.
Yeah.
But thanks, Brad, for joining me today. This
Of
is always
course.
so much more fun with somebody to bounce ideas off of rather than talking to myself with myself. But before we go, Brad, would you care to let our listeners and hopefully our viewers know where they can find you and your very awesome podcast?
Yeah, it's the Cinema Speak podcast. So we're on everywhere where you listen to podcasts, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify. You can find us on social media at the Cinema Speak on Twitter, Cinema Speak Podcast on Instagram, and Cinema Speak on YouTube. And you can listen on the web at cinemaspeak.libsyn.com.
Very nice. Now comes the part, Brad, in the conversation where I get to poke you. You got any videos in the pipe there, bud?
Well, I mean, I do have a video recorded, but it was so long ago, I don't know if it'll even get released. But I do have an idea for an upcoming video, but it will require two other participants. But that is a potential idea. Just working on scheduling for that.
Always a pain in the ass, I know.
Yeah.
But when the time is right, it will manifest. But
Yep.
thanks for all that. And in the case of myself and Catching Up on Cinema, you can find all of our Catching Up on Cinema content collected on our website at catchinguponcinema.com. You can also find us on the social medias in the form of the Instagram at Catching Up on Cinema, as well as the Twitter at Catching Cinema. So feel free to hit me up at either of those. And the podcast is available on pretty much every platform you can imagine, including Bitcade. So fucking Google it. And that being said, thank you so much for listening and or watching, dear listeners and or viewers. And we will catch you next time.